I'm here on the north coast of Cyprus at an archaeological site called Lambousa. Lambousa was a Byzantine city, an early Byzantine city. And what I want to show you here, see this beautiful shoreline here, the rocky shoreline. If you look very carefully, you can see that there's lots of rectilinear tanks that are carved into the shore. All right, these sort of large pools here. And you see in the distance there, fishermen even today like this spot. These are fish tanks. And there's a couple of theories about how they worked. Some people think that fish were caught and then brought into these fish tanks, which are right by the city. You can see this is the largest of the fish tanks right here. And kept alive in here so they could have people could come down from the town and have fresh fish that was still alive, rather than having it kind of sitting around. Now another theory is that you see where the two fishermen are out there. Just to the right of the fisherman in the dark shirt, there was a kind of an opening, or actually sort of. I'm changed my mind. It's actually in between the two fishermen, and the idea was that boats drove schools of fish into the shore, where they had no choice but to enter the narrow opening of the fish trap, and then the escape was closed behind them. And this was done at high tide. So that the fish were more apt to go into that little section. Now, then what happens is when the pool was filled at high tide, they kept the fish in, they would sell the fish, and then at low tide, they would open these channels right here, right, which would also be blocked off. And I'll show you kind of the mechanism here. It's very, very warm, but you can see one of the other subsidiary pools here. And I think that this hole here and it's the one opposite it was used to close this off. Then, as I say, when the tide went down, they basically let the water out, the water that had become too warm, and it exited, and then at the next high tide, of course, the whole cycle would begin again. Here's another one of those channels for having the high tide water flow out at low tide. Pretty wonderful. One of my favorite places here in northern Cyprus. The Lambousa fish traps. They're probably about 1,400 years old. Probably date from around 600 AD. And boy, I just love this. I just love the enigmatic element to it. And of course, the sea is gradually reclaiming it, but you can still see it 1,400 years later. See the remnants of this wonderful site. And well, bring your fishing.